The other day, I walk in to my apartment.
Oh,
I
boy.
didn't get to tell you this yet.
Oh, God.
I walk into my apartment. It was between. I brought Rambo to Cranberry to hang out with Bailey's sister because she's like 9. She wanted to like play with him.
I hit record and it wasn't even 5 seconds in and you said her name. 5 seconds in.
I was saying I went to Trader
That was a good
Joe's.
burp.
I know. I was saving that, but, hey.
You got. I came back to drop Rambo off before I went to the Steelers game, and I walk in and I smell butter. I have popcorn. And I was like, I wonder if somebody ate my popcorn without asking me. So I go upstairs. I look in the box and I count because I knew how many bags I used. I brought one the night here and I burnt it. And then I had another. So I should have had 10 bags of popcorn, but I had 8. So I go, like, Chris, my young roommate, isn't there. I open Alex's curtain. I say, I see the table and he has a bag of popcorn. I was like, did Chris have my popcorn? Because I knew Alex wouldn't just eat my popcorn without asking me. And he's like, wait, this is your popcorn? Not only did Chris eat my popcorn without asking me, he offered some to Alex too. And he made Alex a bag. And I think Chris did it because he knew Alex. He thought if I got mad at Chris, I'd have to get mad at Alex for eating my popcorn. Like, he ate my food without asking me, and he offered it to Alex without asking me. Like,
Hey, I've had my dinner. Listen, this is true. I've had my dinner stolen out of the upstairs fridge several times, literally. Bring it in like a sandwich, chips, whatever. I've had it stolen out of the fridge 2 or 3 times.
That's one I've never had happen to me, and I don't understand it.
I don't understand that either. Who just takes someone's food?
Welcome to Eye on Sports, where we delve into the biggest Butler County sports topics. I'm your host, Butler Eagle Sports writer Derek Pyda. Joining me are fellow sports writer Brendan Howe and Eagle Sports editor Jake Merda Adams.
So, guys, we're back. How was the holidays?
2025, Happy New Year is good. Other than the fact that the
Steelers.
Steelers keep playing like crap, other than that, I'm good. I'm only seeing my therapist once this week.
Just by the hair of the chinny chin chin, they're just getting through, right? What do we feel about Saturday? How do we? Those Ravens, man.
They could beat the Ravens. Like, we've seen them do
They
it.
could beat the Ravens.
Like, they could turn it around enough to beat the Ravens. They're not winning the AFC.
But hey, you can't get to the next round unless you win this one. So give it a shot. We'll see what happens.
One day at a time.
if there's one team I
Run
hate,
to Cincinnati.
there's one team I hate in the NFL, it's the Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah, I don't like them either. What's your predictions for the score? Anybody?
I think the Steelers win. I just have an odd feeling. I think that the members of the defense that are important with Patrick Queen, Sean Elliott, I think they're going to be very motivated going into the stadium of the team that let them go in a playoff game, beating them. Though they won't admit it, though they won't talk about it, it'll probably mean a lot to them. So I think that this team, especially, you figure the embarrassment factor would have come in the past few weeks of, like, we've lost this many games in a row, and then the post-game press conferences are all like, we're in. Like, that's all that matters is we're in. If they really believe that, then they'll turn it around. But I don't know.
I got a question for you regarding the Steelers. Steeler fan, I mean, is it the jury still out on this? I don't know.
Well, we're also not sure if he's an Ohio State fan.
Okay,
either.
well, okay. Assuming you're a Steeler fan, would you rather, and knowing how they've played over the last 4 weeks, would you rather have played Houston, or would you rather play a team that the Steelers are incredibly familiar with, like the Ravens?
I think it would have been harder for them to get up against Houston, and the fact that C.J. Stroud, my friends and I were texting about this, C.J. Stroud hasn't been that great this year for Houston. They would have gone in, and he would have thrown for 4 touchdowns and 350 yards. Like, that's just what happens. So I think the fact that they're playing a team that they inherently don't like, they're a state away, I think that this is better for them. It will be more exciting and more nerve-wracking for them to go into Baltimore than it would be for Houston. Plus, it's shorter flight, so you don't really have to worry about going all the way.
I think they should bust down. Just create that bond.
Amtrak.
Greyhound it.
Just rent like 35 Volkswagen vans and just parade the whole way down the
Wow, you're going to do the Volkswagen van?
That would be funny.
Cheech and Chong's
ride
driving.
bikes.
Can you
Imagine those guys in
I was
those
gonna say,
vans? Those
Cam
vans are
Hayward
kind of
just
like
packed into the middle seat of the
They'd each
VW,
have a row.
Just like, yeah.
Cam Hayward is a massive man. He's
He is a large individual.
How tall is he? Do you know off the top of your head?
6'5".
He's got a big head. I know that.
He had the flu when he played the other night. He let that be known. Someone asked him at the end of the press conference because he was talking like his voice was hoarse. He was very quiet, like
6'5",
and usually has like this booming voice. Like it like when he talks, it sounds like it's like you're, especially in a small room, it sounds like he's yelling. And he said he had the flu, and I was listening to Tomlin's press conference. They let him sit practice. They're trying to let him get better.
He played a good game. He had like 3 batted passes.
That-
The defense did not. They gave up a lot of yards, but you hold that Cincinnati offense to 19 points. That's pretty good.
The 3 batted passes I wrote about were the most by any defensive lineman in a single game this season. So he only had 1 tackle though, but I mean they got
bad passes
him.
are bad passes.
His brother at the time, I just thought, okay, this is the play that's going to turn when he recovered that muffed punt right on the sideline. I mean, it was if he bobbles that ball at all, the officials say no, you recovered it out of bounds. It's Cincinnati ball. He recovered it in bounds, and I thought, okay, there's no way we're losing the game after this. Well, of course, then we saw how the Steelers handled the last minute and 51 seconds with 1 timeout. The worst time management I have seen in an NFL game in a long time.
So the way
so long time's like 10 weeks since that Bears fiasco that got his face fired.
Was there 151 left?
That was kind of bad.
That they let 30 seconds off the clock at the end of the game with 1 or 2 timeouts. I think they had 2 timeouts and they couldn't get the snap off in time.
So they left the field with 2 timeouts.
They left the field with 2 timeouts and a chance to win the game.
That's bad.
It's kind of awkward. Like, so after a Steelers game ends, the media and the assistant coaches of the Steelers take the same elevators down. So the media lines up and the coaches get to go down first. The Steelers assistant coaches, they got in the elevator and they're kicking the elevator like they were not happy that they lost that game. They wanted to win that game.
They should have won. Who wants to enter the playoffs? They can turn things around. I think they can turn things around against a team that they are, as I said before, incredibly familiar with. But you still don't want to enter the playoffs on a 4-game losing streak. You don't like Cincinnati. You could have Cincinnati didn't make the playoffs because Denver won yesterday, but you could have ended Cincinnati's hopes right there in your stadium. And as it was, they screwed up. They lost for the 4th straight week.
This could have been my trivia question to you. It's not. Do you know the other team to enter the NFL playoffs on a 4-game losing streak? There's only ever been one other team. Do you know who that is?
New York Jets.
It's the Detroit
Cardinals.
Lions in '99.
Oh, I was going to say the Cardinals.
The Charlie Batch-led Detroit Lions.
Oh, my God, Charlie Batch. What a 90s football name.
Could you imagine, though, like Russell Wilson in his post-game press conference, as soon as he started saying this, I rolled my eyes. He was like, out of nowhere, he's like, yeah, I was talking to Jerome Bettis recently, and we were talking about the 2005 team that, made the run to the Super Bowl, and they had some bumps along the way, and they went into playoffs, and they got it done. It's like, you're talking about a team that, like, was it 3 straight that they won at the end of the regular season. They started gaining some traction there, and then they went into the playoffs with momentum. This is the complete opposite of that, and someone called him out on that, and he didn't really, like, he's a very, we're talking in the press box after the press conferences. If you put Russell Wilson in front of a microphone by himself, he could have his own podcast. Like, he would just talk to himself for an hour. Like, but, yeah, like, there's no similarities between that team and this one, but could you imagine if they lose these 4 games and they go into the playoffs and win the Super Bowl somehow? Like, what a story that'd be if you're like, if they lost 4 straight and then they win 4 straight. 5 straight. It's been 5 straight.
4 straight.
4 straight. Okay.
4 straight.
Brendan's got a lot of energy today. We got him going.
I had a coffee.
Coffee. Steelers have lost 4 in a row. His Buckeyes are playing on Friday night.
Still have like half that coffee left too.
So we've got snow on the ground here. A couple games have been postponed on Monday night. I have a take here on winter that not everyone shares with me. I like getting one good snowstorm a year. Like I don't want a mild winter. I want a good solid like 4 to 8 inches of snow on the ground.
That's
for it to feel like winter. Then after that, I want it to be mild. I don't want 0-degree weather. I don't want anything to be super windy. But give me one good snowstorm a year.
See what when you said one good snowstorm, I'm thinking blizzard of '93, Snowmageddon in February 2010 when we got like 23 inches.
That was
of snow
such a good day. I was in
Snowmageddon.
6th grade. That was such a good day. The snow was up to my hips.
It can be more.
Such a good day.
It can be more than a few inches. I'm just saying, like, 1 or 2 inches on the ground doesn't count. I need something that's like at least half a foot, and then I can say I've had winter. I don't need more than that, and I'm not calling for like 50-degree weather all winter.
I have to laugh when I see the weather on TV this time of the year. Weather, no matter what channel it is, WPXI, WTAE, KDKA, and we're getting like 3 or 4 inches of snow. We're forecasted to get like 3 or 4 inches of snow. And they come up with this big graphic, winter blast forecast. And I'm thinking to myself, what would people in Buffalo say? What would people in Cleveland, even Erie, say about that? Then I remind myself of one thing. There is one thing that Pittsburgh has that Buffalo really doesn't have, Cleveland doesn't really have, and Erie doesn't. We have a ton of hills here.
Mm-hmm.
So 2 inches of snow on a steep hill is probably like 6 inches of snow somewhere else.
I was at my in-laws a month ago. Mallory and I were visiting, and she was getting a nail appointment and whatnot, and I had to go pick her up. And they're on a particularly hilly area of Westmoreland County, and it had snowed before we left to go there, and then it started flurrying like crazy as I'm sitting at my in-laws' house waiting to pick Mallory back up. And it was enough that it went from like the roads were, damp but clear. There was no slush on it, to there was a layer of like, it's that very light but wet snow that you get. And trying to go down those hills, I had to go down a hill. I'm sitting there like wondering why no one's moving. And then I get to the hill after like 10 minutes of just standstill traffic. And I'm going 3 miles an hour and my car is skidding. And I'm just like, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm just going to hold on.
Something stopped me.
Did I tell you
tap
guys?
the brake lightly and hope that there's no car coming up the other side that's not paying attention. I got down.
We weren't
But it was just one of those like, wow, there's not a whole lot here.
We weren't doing the podcast when that happened to Bailey, right? Because I didn't tell you guys about that.
What happened?
Like what he just said, and she has a hill. It's like that much incline in her apartment complex. It snowed a few Saturdays ago is when the Steelers played the Ravens. In Ohio
December
State, Tennessee.
21st, 34-17.
Yeah, so we didn't have that our podcast then. But I've never been frightened of driving snow. It's like snow, whatever. But now I kind of am, because her hill was like this incline out of her apartment complex, and the snow trucks didn't come in enough time, so the cars were driving over and packed the snow together into ice.
Yep.
So she went to drive up it.
Couldn't.
And she slid down and went over like an embankment, like just like not an embankment. It was like the curb. So her car was stuck on a curb. And so it's funny because I offered, she was in a hurry to get to work.
Did you rescue her?
She was in a hurry to get to work, and I offered to escort her at first. I was like, I'll drive.
Wait till the game's over.
I said, I'll drive in front of you. I said, I'll drive in front of you, and like you can, because she was scared to drive in the snow. So she's like, no, I have to get to work, and she left early, like before I did. And she texted me, she's like, I just like slid backwards, and I'm in a ditch now. I was like, okay. So I drive up, and nobody's helping her. They all have 4-wheel drive. They're driving past her. So I get out of my car, leave Rambo in the car, and I go up. And we're sitting there. We're wondering. I call my dad, like, her car is stuck. What do we do? He's like, I'll be there to help. And so someone tries without 4-wheel drive to go up ahead of her. Their car starts sliding, and eventually she's standing there, and the car starts sliding towards her car. Mm-hmm. It wasn't gonna stop. I was like, she's like frozen in like fear, like her car's gonna get hit. I had to pull her out of the way and like bump the car off the curb so she didn't have to get it towed or anything.
You saved her. You're literally her knight in shining armor.
It didn't mess up. It didn't mess up her car at all. Like the car like hit hers, but it didn't mess the bumper up at all.
It just kind of stopped it.
Yeah, but she's like scared of driving snow now, and now I'm kind of worried. Like I don't want to drive in snow. I texted him last night if there was any plan. I didn't know how much snow we're getting, so
couple inches.
Yeah.
It hasn't been that much
We
yet.
do need like a snowmageddon now. I feel like we need like a
30
good,
inches.
like a good drop. Just
30 inches of snow would be nuts.
yeah, that would be insane.
When I was living in Madison for one winter,
Try living in Boston for the winter. I did that. Sorry, go ahead.
It was negative. The high temperature was negative, or no more than 2 degrees for a week straight, and that was the coldest stretch of cold weather I'd ever been in. And when it hit late winter into spring, it's starting to warm up again. Everyone was like, wow, that was a really mild winter. And I'm just sitting there like, what? there was hardly any snow. We never got more than like 3 inches of snow at a time there. But like the cold was, I would go out, I wouldn't feel positive degree temperature for like 3 or 4 days in a row, just depending on what time I was going outside to take the dog out or go to work or whatever. And they're like, yeah, that was pretty mild. You're nuts. Madison's nuts.
I imagine. But imagine like Canada and Alaska, and they're laughing at us.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're a bunch of joke shows down here talking about 3 inches.
I parked down.
Pansies.
I parked downtown to go to the Steelers games to cover them because it's only $6. No, I won't make Ian's accent. I hate that actually.
Wow.
No, Pat
You're
McAfee.
endearing yourself to a lot of people.
Yeah, people are gonna love you now.
It's overblown.
Sorry, go ahead,
Anyways,
Brendan.
I walked over from downtown and it was like 20 degrees, not even. It felt like 11 because I checked on my phone. I had my hands in my pocket and I couldn't feel my hands because I walked from where the tree is in Pittsburgh where you ice skate to Acrisure, which is like a 25-minute walk, and it was brutal. Like my face was hurting.
We have to walk over the rivers, right?
Yeah,
You have to go over the bridges, so.
Yeah,
The
water was
through the
very
woods.
choppy. It
And
didn't
through the
seem like
woods.
a very good night to swim.
To Acrisure, I don't even know how to say it. It's
Heinz
just-
Field we go.
Like Heinz Field. Like, why? I get it, but like I don't.
They took the ketchup bottle down.
No.
Yes.
What?
I mean,
It's over at
it's
Heinz History Center. They put it up outside of Heinz
don't
History Center.
Care where they
It still
put
exists.
it.
That's the.
It doesn't matter. It's the red zone, and we make the ketchup.
and the Steelers make mistakes in the red
I
zone.
don't even think ketchup's made in Pittsburgh anymore.
What?
Yeah, Kraft bought out Heinz, I think.
Yeah.
It's like in Illinois somewhere. or
Yeah.
something.
Robert Kraft?
Oh God.
I don't think that's
No,
right.
it's probably. Well,
Hey,
who knows?
Did Joe Flacco play his last NFL snap?
Jake's gonna look it up
Did
for
he?
us because I
Yeah,
need
did
to
Joe
know.
Flacco.
That guy.
Did he play for the Colts the other day?
He played yesterday. Yeah. Big win over the Jaguars.
No, he's gonna stick around until he can't walk anymore.
All right. What's next, guys?
Well, it's been 3 weeks since we last met here, and a lot of high school sports have gone on. Basketball, some swimming, a lot of wrestling. I want to get caught up with what you guys have kind of noticed over the last few weeks, over the holidays and into the new year here. Brendan, we're going to go to you first. What sticks out about you about individual play in the county over the last few weeks?
So I haven't gotten out to cover as much basketball in the first few weeks, for first month of the season as I have in the past year with doing features and stuff like that. But one of those features that I wrote was after Current City Girls game that I got to cover with Chloe Fritsch. We know she's a great golfer. We know she tore ACL last season during the basketball season. And she's impressed me, not because of her numbers, but because of that story. I got to talk to her for about 10, 12 minutes. And really, I don't think I've ever talked to such an insightful kid or such a mature kid about her journey coming back. And she mentioned that there were days like it hurt every day to rehab. And I've never torn my ACL. I couldn't imagine what that's like, but she said it hurt every day to rehab. And then one day suddenly it didn't. And she was just hoping to have that one day. And it hurt after that, but she knew that there was she said a light at the end of the tunnel. So then with that, she's been a reserve for the start of the season. And I asked her, is there any difference? She said, the quote that stuck out to me was, I don't need to have my name called to go play basketball. So she doesn't care what her role is. She's happy to be on the court, and she's happy to help in any way she can. And coming from a kid that was kind of the star player of a team after they get hurt, I thought that was a really cool quote and a really cool story to tell.
I like that girl's mentality. She won the Butler Eagle Amateur on the women's side back in August, and she won her second straight District 9 golf title. So looking to continue her senior season with a strong season on the basketball court. And I just want to mention one thing. This Carson City team that she's playing on, they're 8-1 now. So definitely by far our best District 9 basketball team right now. Definitely. 8-1 Carson City.
Ton of defense on that team too. I think they're winning most of their games 38-31.
Yep. Jake, what about you individual wise?
I'm going to see, weather permitting, one of these players later this week, Amelia McMichael for Butler. She wrote about her in the preseason. She was expected to be a big part of that team. She's fulfilled that so far. She's had a bunch of big games for a team that is, I think, tied atop their section at 2-0 in Whitfield right now. One of them in Seneca Valley. I think maybe there's another team that's 3-0 above them. I'm blanking off
And
the top of my head.
Seneca and Butler play tonight.
Yeah, and Seneca and Butler play. It's Monday night. They play tonight as long as no more snow falls here. She's had 29 points, 18 points, 21 points, 16 points. She missed the game because she was sick before Christmas. But she's been, as advertised for that team, probably the best girls basketball player in the area right now, which isn't surprising. She's a D2 commit already. On the guys' side, we keep seeing Josh Book's name. I don't think we've really talked about him too much in the office. You just did, Derek, a story on Austin Wroblewski for Mars, and he's been phenomenal. But Book has been on a tear. He had 39 over the weekend. That followed up a 29-point game on the 30th, and he had a 24-point double-double before that, and then another 30-point game and 35 earlier in December. Like, this kid continues to put up buckets, and this Slippery Rock team, along with the girls team as well, have been pretty impressive so far in D10.
Brennan, last year, Book won co-player of the year
Yep.
with, was it Little John?
Yep.
So
Averaged 21 points last year, too.
Josh Book doing the job for Slippery Rock once again. Yeah, you mentioned Wroblewski. Last year came off the bench, averaged just over 4 points a game. Now he's averaging 22 a game. So kudos to him and Mars.
That story is in Monday's paper and online right now for those of you that would like to read it.
So I'd like to touch on some wrestlers here. I'm going to make this quick because there's a lot of kids having good seasons so far on the mats. Butler's Case Chop won his 100th career victory just before Christmas. I think it was a week before. His teammate, Santino Sloboda, came into the season as the best wrestler in the county, and he has done nothing to take away that title. He is 11-0 on the year, undefeated, and sophomore. This is a sophomore for Butler. Nick Savannah is 10-2. Mars has a unique dynamic on their team. They are being led right now by a senior and a freshman with the same exact record. Senior Liam Hine and freshman Sam Passarelli are both 14-5. So I thought that was pretty cool to have the upperclassmen and the underclassmen doing the job there. And Zach Turberville, he was mentioned in my preseason wrestlers to watch list. He is 15-1 for Slippery Rock. He's a junior. 13 of his 15 wins are by either pin or tech fall.
That is wild.
He's having a great season.
That is wild.
Yeah, and on the girls' side, the best girls wrestler so far in the county, at least record-wise, is Seneca Valley's Maddie Fisher. She's 9-2, and I will be covering Seneca Valley and Butler girls and boys wrestling down at Seneca on Wednesday. So a lot going on, a long way to go, but there's definitely some athletes in the county so far that have kind of really gained a foothold on a good to great 2024-2025 season. We'll see how things turn out over the next few weeks.
Yeah. Well, I mean, sure.
Hello.
Hey, what's up? How you doing?
Hey, what's up? Good. How are you?
Good. Thanks for hopping on. I'm gonna see if these guys know who they're talking to because I didn't tell them who we were calling, but I feel like
Okay.
Derek might know. Do you guys know who this is?
Have them talking.
They can't tell.
It's Coach Christie.
Yeah.
Hey, Eric.
See? Pretty good. Hey,
How are you?
How's it going?
Happy New Year.
good. Happy New Year.
So I'm just putting them on the
That's
spot
great.
with this. So I just thought, I don't know, you guys could have you can talk about the Steelers. You can talk about whatever you want. I'm just gonna
Eric.
let you.
What needs to happen? What can you tell Mike Tomlin to turn things around by Saturday? Please tell me you got something.
Yeah, I mean, he makes a lot more money, does it a lot, spends a lot more time than I do with it, right? So, but with that said, if I was in his spot, just things haven't gone well right now. I would go back to Fields. That would be my take.
Hey.
Hey,
Yep.
let me ask you
agree to
something, Eric.
this.
let me ask you something, Eric. How good is Fields going to be if George Pickens can't catch a pass?
Ooh, yeah, I mean, and that's the same with either one of them if he can't catch any passes, but he can run. So, and the guy has legs. So, like, I would I'd take that ability right now and at least stretch him out. He did a great job in the games that he was in there doing that.
It's supposed to snow too, so I think
Right.
a running game's going to be important. I
Might deflate the ball.
when I covered the game on Saturday night, here's like a few stats that I saw. They have not scored an opening drive touchdown this year.
Yep.
Over 17. The last 6 games, they've gone 3 and out on offense to start. So that's terrible in itself. But something that I was talking to Derek about in the office before we came down here, Coach, was I want the Steelers to win. I would like for them to win, right? This is going to get Derek going.
Absolutely.
He's already very annoyed as to what's going to be coming here. I want them to win. If they don't win, I would rather them lose big than lose close because then I think change would come.
Eric, let me ask you this. If your team's involved in a playoff game, would you rather them lose by 2 or 30?
Oh man, there's different emotions to each. When you lose big, you're just like, we were never in there, and just we weren't in there. So you take that one probably a little easier. When it's right there, you're like, man, one call here, one call there. So the closer one definitely hurts more because you know it's just one call, one play,
you can be
one
more
thing.
proud of the team's effort in a close loss, right? Obviously.
Oh yeah. Again, you can be good into that. You're just always worried. You know, if you're outmatched, you're outmatched. And sometimes that just, especially in high school sports, it's a little different when you're in NFL when teams have money and they all have the same pot of money to pick from. You know, come on, man. Like you gotta be able to figure that out and dispense their money a little differently. But in high school, you get who you want. So if it's a blowout, you're sometimes like, yeah, that group, that community had a lot of good kids that year for that time frame. But yeah, if it's close. It's heartbreaking for sure. You're proud of them. Yeah, for sure. You're proud of the guys.
I'm just glad that there's a salary cap in the NFL, unlike baseball, because if there was no salary cap in football, I think the Steelers would be near the bottom of the spending. I honestly believe that.
I've never thought of that.
I'm glad too, because I mean college football has become baseball, right? I mean that's where it is now. So whoever spends the most in college probably is going to have the best team, or at least the best team you can get out there. So I mean, Ohio State's the favorite right now, right?
They are, yeah.
That's making Brendan way too happy.
No, I gotta tell you, I don't know if you know this, Eric, but our
esteemed colleague
Brendan here is a huge Ohio State fan.
I do know that.
After the loss to Michigan, he said, I don't care if Ohio State goes on to win the national title. This season is a failure because we lost to the Wolverines. Did you not say that, Brendan?
I did.
Man, probably spoke too soon on that one. I don't know.
Yeah, I didn't see them coming out. I didn't see them coming out and starting 21-0 against Tennessee and then 34-0 against Oregon. So
the win over Oregon was incredible. I will give you that. As good as Oregon is, the fact that you were up by 34 points, that was impressive.
It was a crime of passion.
It was a wild, yeah.
Those words were a crime of passion.
Eric, we'll bring you into the third office conversation. This one just happened a little bit before the podcast. Your thoughts on stealing office food from the break room?
I think if you bring the food, you can take the food. If you don't bring food ever, then you better stay out of it.
Eric, we've been down here at the West Wayne Street office since January 19th, so 6 years now. I've had my dinner that I've brought to the office stolen out of the refrigerator 3 times in 6 years. 3 times it's happened.
Man, what are you bringing? Like, you bringing some high-end food, or what are you doing? Like,
I mean, it's good as far as I'm concerned, but I didn't think it was.
Bringing some Natilli's in, or what?
Natilli's. I don't know. It's just I don't know. I can't see myself taking some. I don't know. Here's the thing: there are people.
It's a mystery.
It was John.
There are people who work here late at night, and I think they wait until the newsroom's cleared out, and then they come up and sneak the food out of the refrigerator. I'm going to expense it. I'm going to turn it in as an expense.
I didn't realize the details of this thing, but man, this is getting into a whole undercover story. You got to bring in some detectives to get this thing down and get them nailed out. I mean, my son's a state trooper. We can bring him down, see if he can run a file on it or something. See what we can do.
Lie detector test.
Right.
If you caught one of your assistant coaches stealing your food out of the fridge, what would be the punishment for them?
I shamed them mercilessly. Like I had a coach do that. Someone took the last water out of the fridge, and I just let them have it. Not loud out loud, but just real passive aggressive tones of what's going on there from now on about it. So that's my take on it.
I'm guessing this crime was committed like during heat acclimation or during August practice. Like you're not doing that in November when it's cold. It's got to be when it's hot and everyone needs water.
Oh, absolutely. And again, it's always open. But if you're going to take the last one, you better replace it and have enough to put it back in, right? I mean, so the rest of us can have them when we're ready. You'll take the last one and then look around, or take all the time and never put back. You have to replace what you're putting in, or just don't touch them ever. Then bring your own.
Drink from the water fountain.
That's an easy way.
The old taste of water out of that.
There is water fountains, and you got to be cautious around. Sometimes the water was bad a while, but I think it's all good now. They got it taken care of.
Eric, what's the off season been like for you? And what are now you had a couple months to look back on it. What are your thoughts on the 2024 season?
2024 was a season that we had the seniors were the nicest kids. You know, they were such a great, fun group to be around. I think that group grew very, very much in their senior year, going into their senior year, and had a nice, you know, successful year. Would have loved to have had a couple of those close games. The game that breaks my heart over and over is when I knew it right from the first game of the season, Shaler. Would have loved to see a different outcome in that one from the first game. It took us a while to get going. We didn't score till the fourth quarter and just fell short and couldn't get enough here at the end. And I think that game in particular puts us at 500. And then if we could have pulled out, you know, University High, getting over 500 would have been fantastic. That's the goal going into this year, like setting that one into. I think we made a step in the right direction from where we were at the year before to this past season. Next year, let's take another step. Let's get over, you know, 6 wins. And Mr. Mile and myself talked about that, and just saying, like, that hasn't happened since my junior year. You know, you got to go back to the fall, I believe, in '97, since we've had 6 wins. So it's a big ask, but that's where the expectation level is, how we want to work.
What's the off season like for you this time of the year? I mean, what keeps you going this time of the year with the actual games not going on anymore, I guess?
Yeah, we actually moved up our off season. Normally we give off until after, you know, the new calendar year coming in, like the first of the year. But this year we decided we've been brought in the Penguins to work with us last year, those trainers, Vinny, Rosie, and Jason Jerome. And so we talked to them and said, well, it'd be beneficial to start earlier. So we actually kicked it off right after Thanksgiving this year, earlier. What did that mean? We didn't have as much participation because guys are in other sports. And I think some kids people get burnt out sometimes, just need some time to recover. So numbers were okay. There's a core group of kids, and that's kind of what I found. There's always a core group, right? I'd love that core number to grow. We're probably around the core group about 15 to 20 kids right now. If we want to really, really be a big program and be back 6A football and competing, we got to triple that number. You know, we got to get into the 60s, 55, 60 kids that are just totally bought in, ready to go. So that's the goal. That's the drive, trying to get people interested. I know it's part of my job and my coaching staff job and the district's job to get kids wanting to do that. We got the right guys with the Penguins involved. You know, they know what they're talking about. They got good programs, good workouts. They're quick. We get them in and get them out within an hour and a half, hour and 15 minutes. The lift is only about 45, and we do some conditioning and some film and stuff. We're only doing it 3 days a week. We actually start throwing this week at Family Sports Center on Wednesdays. So we're beginning over there, and we'll be throwing from 3:15 to 4:45, and we'll do that once a week here for the next 2 months so we can get indoors and avoid all this snow.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're planning, you know, trying to figure out who's where, what, who's showing up, because it's hard when you're like, hey, we're gonna have this person, and they're not around because maybe they're in a sport or they're doing something else. You don't get them, then you're like, well, I think that kid's playing, but if he's not, then who else? So you just let kids step up, and whoever's there, that's your team.
Laura offered a solution for you for next season, ending the streak and also getting more kids to be a part of that core, and that's to smash a car.
Oh, yeah, man, we tried to get that one going, huh? That would have been great.
Yeah.
Brennan's car.
Oh, yeah, well, that's even better. You can turn it in, maybe make some money and put some food in the fridge.
For people to steal. But is it a little harder at the Family Sports Center? We actually have, me and my friends, our adult flag football league there on Sunday mornings, and we were actually talking yesterday. The width of that field is like 25, 30 yards, not even. So it's a little harder to run route combinations and stuff on that field than it is on a normal field where it's like 53 yards across.
Absolutely. Last year we tried to get into really running some like 7-on-7 or even some team stuff we're going to do. And this year we decided to take a different approach to it. We're really using the time indoor to just do individual skill development. So if we're going to run routes, it's really going to be one-on-ones. Maybe do combo routes. You can run 2-ran routes for sure. If you want to get into a trip route and use half, just use half from the middle over or something, you can do that too. So we actually changed our plans from last year to this year of what we're doing in there because of that space.
Yeah, surprisingly, no one's crashed into the boards in there yet, which I don't think would feel that great. Aiden Davis was there yesterday, and he was on our friend Zach Bergbigler's team, and he was running into the boards and stuff and jumping up there. I wouldn't want to be me. I'm not that. I don't heal that quickly anymore.
No, that's a kid, man. I wish we'd have had him his senior year. I know in his junior year when he got hurt and got injured, I was like, that's going to be the end of him, and we never saw him again. So that hurt for sure because he's an athlete.
Eric, what are your thoughts on the PIAA giving the thumbs up for girls flag football moving forward? I know Seneca Valley has a team in the county, North Catholic has a team, and Marsh is going to be forming a team.
I think it's neat. I mean, it's neat to have another aspect. Now, again, to me, and I don't know, everyone can have their opinion. We could talk through this and be a whole talking. We probably spend a lot of time on it, but flag football is not football. It's different. You know, it's a different sport. It's a version of football, and it's an element of football, but it's not the same thing. You're taking out all the contact, right? So I think it's great. It's something new. It gets, you know, and I believe right now it's just girls, right? It's not boys and girls doing it. So getting girls involved and having them, you know, have a sport compete. And I've seen some of it. They've been playing this on ESPN, some and on TV, some of the flag competitions that are out there. Man, there are some players. And I know we got tons of girl athletes in our district would be fantastic at it. So if they want to get it going, that'd be cool. I'd love to see it.
Eric, does it make you happy that after all these years, just hearing your voice, Brendan knows exactly who you are? Because honestly, I didn't know. I have not heard your voice enough to know that it was you, but he's like, oh, that's Eric Christie.
Yeah. We've been spending some time running into each other here or there, and all the time coaching. I guess it's good, right? It's not a bad thing. He was like, oh, if he would have been like, oh, there's Christy again, I'd probably be like, oh, but it sounded like he was actually excited, so that's good. We connected very well.
Yeah,
so that was good.
I wanted to say it was you right away. I didn't want to. If it wasn't you, I didn't want to be like, hey, that's Coach Christy, and someone be like, no, it's not.
We could have edited that out.
Yeah, that's good. I guess that's a good sign. You started to figure it out.
Before we let you go here, how was your holiday? Anything exciting or anything interesting that Santa brought you or your kids?
Santa.
Yeah, with my kids being older for the most part, my youngest actually just grew almost a foot in the last year as a 7th grader, so he's looking me in the eye right now. So, yeah, and he's junior high. He'll be an 8th grader. He got to play in that team last year as a 7th grader. And then the other one's all out of school in college or out of college even. Christmas has become a little different for us. You know, it's a lot more of like, here's your money bag rather than here's your presents. And so that part's, you know, not as much fun. My brother, luckily, he has 2 young daughters. You know, they're both, I think, 3 and under. So way more fun at that house, the other Christie house that's out here in Butler County than it is in mine. But it was great to get together with family, see people, see, you know, friends, family. I just love getting together. Like, I'm a people person for sure, and family's big, and, you know, getting together and, you know, spending time at church. Keith Kozik, you know, with Church with Wholehearted Ministries, we got to go there and do a Christmas service. We had the building down by the Butler Eagle, sort of, down by the big parking garage, but we're had to go on Saturday night. So we had a really early Christmas service, but it was good.
Eric, I appreciate you joining us. You're our first call-in on the open line segment, which is going to be a new segment on the podcast here moving forward in 2025. Details to come. We'll bring that to you soon.
You can add that to your resume. There we go.
That sounds great. We got to keep doing more stuff and keep building up and working together. This is great. Good.
Yeah. Thanks a lot for coming on here.
Thanks, Eric.
Absolutely. Yeah, thanks, guys.
Talk to you soon.
All right, see ya.
I actually got this question for Derek it's like last week. I was searching through some things. So
99, by the way. I'm treading water.
So Derek questioned my Steelers fandom earlier. I know he knows a lot about the Steelers.
You make it very difficult not to question your fandom of any team.
So
ouch. Oh.
What? I want to word this in a correct way here. What former Notre Dame quarterback once battled on special teams for the Steelers and was the captain for that unit?
Okay, I get a few minutes to think about that one. All right.
All right, and we're back with Beyond Butler, the weekly segment where we talk about something outside of Butler County in terms of sports, whether that be professionally or collegiately. Over the past few weeks, while we haven't been in here talking into these microphones, college football bowl games have been going on. I'm not talking about the college football playoff here. I'm talking about the bowls that don't or aren't involved in the college football playoff. Derek and Jake, what are your thoughts on the meaning of college football bowl games, other than those that are in the college football playoff? Because I think they took the important ones at this point.
Take it away, Jake.
most of the ones haven't mattered for quite some time to begin with, so not a whole lot has changed except for the Pop-Tarts Bowl and the Mayo Bowl.
Did you watch the Pop-Tarts Bowl?
I didn't watch a minute of any of the bowl games, but those are the ones that continue to resonate in social media and in pop culture.
The thing about like the bowl games is the Pop-Tarts Bowl, I know who played in it, Iowa State and Miami, and the big like story from that game was that Cam Ward played the first half. I think he set the record for most FBS touchdowns or something like that.
That sounds right.
It's some career record, and then he sat the second half, which is like you didn't opt out. You played the first half. It looks as if you played that game just to get that record, and that's kind of selfish. And then they lost. Like they had a drive late that could have let them win. He didn't come back in. So that was one of those stories. But with the Pop-Tarts Bowl, the Mayo Bowl is the hype behind it is the coach gets mayo thrown on them, and someone said they want North Carolina to win next year. So you see Bill Belichick bathed in mayonnaise.
It'd be great.
And then the Pop-Tarts Bowl, the appeal behind that is all the mascots dancing, and they eat the mascot afterwards. Like it goes in a toaster. And
what's wrong with this, Brennan? You sound like you have a problem with this.
Because
a living mascot that you can kill.
It's just these college football bowl games, like they took the Peach Bowl, they took the Rose Bowl, they took the Cotton Bowl. What other bowls here? Fiesta Bowl. They took all the New Year's Six bowls, and those are in the college bowl playoff now. So you can only play in those if you make the playoff. And I feel like those are the bowls that mattered. They couldn't just make the playoff. They had to include the bowls for some reason.
Here's the thing, though. I got a question for you. If you leave the bowls to teams that don't make the playoff, who's playing in those bowls? It's lesser teams, right?
But that's what all those bowls were to begin with, is the lesser teams. That's the thing. Like, the hierarchy hasn't changed.
Well, before it was the top 4 teams made the playoff.
Mm.
Now it's top 12. So there's 8 extra teams that would have been playing in those bowl games that are now part of the playoff.
But they would have been playing in the Orange Bowl, the Fiesta Bowl.
I myself got to see the I almost call it the Quick Lane Bowl. It's the Game Above Sports Bowl in Detroit. Entertaining game, but it didn't feel like it mattered. Like I went there and I sat there in the crowd, and Toledo fans were just happy to be there because it's Toledo. And then Pitt was disappointed with how their season unfolded after that 7-0 start. Like these bowl games just, I don't know why that happened, honestly. Like if you don't make the playoff, why should you?
Money.
Yep.
They're still bringing the money, and you know what? People that, I don't care how minuscule a matchup in the who gives a crap bowl is, if somebody's got money on it, if somebody's got money on it, I mean, you could still lay $500 on the GoDaddy.com bowl if you want to.
You know who told me they made money off of a bowl game? I'm sure you could.
Josh
Rizzo. He was betting on the Pitt Bowl game, so you're right. People are betting money on it.
We should buy a sponsorship to a bowl game next year and call it the Butler Eagle Who Gives a Crap Bowl.
The Ion Sports Bowl.
Yeah,
the Ion Sports Who Gives a Crap Bowl.
When they started,
I'd watch that bowl game.
Increasing the number of bowl games from, I know you're gonna roll your eyes, but when I was a kid.
No, I had that.
When I was like 10, 12 years old,
just ducks.
There were like maybe 20 bowls.
I have
bowls.
that college bowl encyclopedia, and I think it was cooler that there was a smaller amount of bowls because if you made it, it meant something.
Absolutely.
Now it's
but now I think you're saying that now that the college football playoff has expanded to 12 teams, that the other bowls it's been that way for years. I mean, we used to do a bowl poll here. I ran it. You pick the winner of each bowl, and everybody throws in like $5, and then the winner gets the whole pot. And I mean, this was back in like 05, 06, and there was like 35 bowls then.
Yeah.
So it goes back, a good 2 decades anyway.
Something that was really big is Marshall was supposed to play in a bowl this year. They won their conference.
Yeah, but they opted out.
Their coach left, and half the team followed him. Like, they didn't have enough players to play in the bowl.
Literally, because they're and I do want to point one thing out. This is a little bit off topic, but Christian McCaffrey opted out a few years ago. Obviously, your favorite player, Kenny Pickett, did it with Pitt a few years ago when they played Michigan State in the Peach Bowl. If you want to do that, okay. If you want to opt out, what really irks me is the people that try to twist that into, he's not quitting. That's the definition of quitting on your team. Your team has a game left. You're not playing in it because you're hurt. You're not playing in it because you're sick. You're not playing in it because you don't think it's worth being on the field with your teammates. That's the definition of quitting. If you want to do it, fine, but Don't try to twist it into anything else other than quitting. That's exactly what it is.
Yeah, and I feel like most of these bowls at this point are just extra auditions for people to transfer. Like they want to have one last game on tape to show, hey, like even if I think there was, I forget what team it was, but they had a really good bowl game. And you know what they did after? They were like an obscure name. They weren't like top of the depth chart. They had a good bowl game. They transferred out. It's like,
Jordan Ellis.
as a school, do you want these players playing in the bowl game now if you know they're just going to transfer afterwards if they do well?
They just got to change the transfer portal times. I think that's really what it's going to come down to. Because having it open in early December really hurts. And I'm pro player movement. Like I don't care. Transfer all the time. Move to the situation that you feel is going to be best for you. But the timing of the two transfer portal windows is really bad right now.
Agree. I mean, I couldn't have said it better myself.
We'll talk about the transfer portal next week. I'll have a whole segment.
Did you?
there.
How about the Dr. Pepper commercial last year where the guys were getting pulled into the transfer portal? That was
a good one.
funny. Okay, remind us the question again.
What former Notre Dame quarterback battled on the Steelers' special team unit and was a captain of that unit?
I'm going to stick close to home here. I don't think this is the answer, but I don't know it. So just to throw his name out there because we all love him. Where is he at? Back here somewhere. Terry Hanratty.
not Terry Hanratty. He didn't play quarterback for the Steelers. He played wide receiver.
Yeah, I don't know. That's what I'm saying.
I gave you a hint twice. Arnaz Battle. You remember him?
Yeah, I do.
Try again.
I don't
You
remember.
get one more take. Come on, dig deep.
I just told him.
Arnaz Battle.
You just wait. You just told him. Apparently, I wasn't listening.
Arnaz Battle.
He used some Jeopardy strategy there and gave part of the question, part of the answer in the question.
Because I figured it was an obscure question. I figured maybe you'd hear battled twice and be like, why is he saying battle?
I did not put that together. Well done. Well done.
Great start to 20.
Meanwhile, I was just sitting here watching the Peanuts gang in my head during that music.
Is that what that music is?
No, it's not, but it sounds like it to me.
Brendan, here's the thing. You're kicking the football, right? You're Charlie Brown. Who's pulling the football out from under? Who's Lucy?
In terms of my life?
Yes.
Jake.
I was going to say John.
He ends up flat on his back.
You know
and
what,
Jake's just looking over him.
And charge him 5 cents for a therapy session.
Psychiatric.
Sounds like a pretty good life. I think I got the better end of this deal.
Man.
I'll take it.
I didn't think you'd say Jake. All right, we've already talked about some NFL.
And some college football.
And some college football. College football's Final Four is set. Notre Dame's playing Penn State, and Ohio State is facing Texas this week. Also, the NFL playoffs are set. The Steelers are playing Saturday night. There's 5 other games going on between Saturday afternoon and Monday night. I'm glad the Steelers don't play Monday night for the second straight year. I just want to get your thoughts. Anything you got regarding college football, pro football moving forward into the postseason, the playoffs, semifinals for college? Brendan, what do you got?
I'm more so nervous I was nervous for the Rose Bowl. I figured Ohio State would have a lot of motivation, kind of erase what happened on October 12th and get back for that. But I'm worried that Ohio State's going to take Texas lightly after what they saw in the Peach Bowl, which you watched on that Peach Bowl, didn't you?
did.
Cam Scatabo and what he was able to do. I think Texas is going to put up a better fight against Ohio State. I thought about going to the national championship game because my roommate said he was going to. His dad's going to buy him a ticket if Penn State makes it. I figured tickets would be like $200, $300. Nope, the cheapest ticket to get in is $1,100. I'm not going. So
The Orange Bowl.
In Atlanta. So it'll be, the Orange Bowl is the other semifinal, which Penn State is in.
Oh, I got you.
But my hot take here is I think Penn State, they have the worst odds of any of the 4 teams left, according to FanDuel, to win the national championship. I don't think they're going to win the national championship, but I think they're going to beat Notre Dame, and I think they're going to give, hopefully, Ohio State, for the sake of my sanity. I want to see Ohio State make the national championship. I know you don't think I did, but I think Penn State will give Ohio State or whoever they play in the national championship, I don't want to jinx it, a good battle. Also, NFL-wise, like I said earlier, I think the Steelers beat the Ravens. So
I got to say this. My interest in general in college football is way down from where it was even 10 years ago, literally. But the way the college football playoff is set up now with 12 teams, 4 teams getting a bye. I mean, I was into those games last weekend. In the course of the tragedy in New Orleans where they had to push the game back till Monday, I was looking forward to that game. My son Will and I were both rooting for Texas in that Peach Bowl game against Arizona State. And, I mean, he was going nuts. And that's never happened before in a college football game.
So he's going to be a Texas fan.
We literally had to calm him down, like pin him down on the couch and say, look, settle down. Hook 'em horns. We were both rooting for Texas. Oh.
How proud dad moment was this for you? Being like, we've talked in the office a little bit, like he's getting into sports, but he's not really shown a ton of enthusiasm the way that you have, for most of your life. So was that one of those moments where you're secretly fist pumping as you're like also telling him he's about like you're about to put him in timeout if he doesn't calm down?
I mean, I was in front of a TV watching the Steelers with my grandpap when I was 6 or 7 because that's what I wanted to do. That's where I wanted to be. I don't want to force things on him. I don't want him to say, you're sitting here for the next 3 hours and you're watching the Steelers game. I don't do that. I kind of let him, I have the game on, obviously, and if he wants to pay attention, that's fine. I don't force it on him. But that was a proud moment for me to see him get that pumped up for a football game.
Well, I hope he's not too pumped up for Ohio State, Texas, because he won't be as happy.
I've asked my parents this before of what the first when your kid is little, so me and my brother in their case, like, what's it like when they're like 2 or 3 years old and they just walk around the house and they curse? Because they don't know what any of it means, but they hear mom and dad or someone else
throwing
like drop
bombs.
just dropping like a
My mom washed my mouth out with soap when I was a kid.
Lifebuoy.
I was like, the question I asked was like, obviously you got to like tell us not to say that word when we're 2 years old because you don't want us repeating it all the time. But when we leave the room, are you not laughing? And like at first, my mom didn't want to admit to it, but the one day she was like, "Yeah, we laughed." Like when you're really little, the kid doesn't know any better. She's like, "Yeah, we laughed when you leave the room because it was funny."
I remember the first time I heard the F word. It was by a friend of mine at the time. His name was Tommy, and I went home that night, and we were upstairs. I was getting ready for bed, and I just said it out loud. Have you ever seen Christmas Story where the mother of Schwartz is on the phone? What? I mean, she was like screaming. I said, Mom, Tommy told it to me. I didn't know it was a bad word. Well, she said, it's a bad word. Don't ever say that again. So I think I adhered to that until the Steelers lost like the next week. The Steelers lost quite often back then. We're talking like 85, 86.
So as far as this weekend's football games, I'm going for one of two scenarios and the exact opposite. In terms of like calm sanity, I want to see Notre Dame, Texas in the national championship because Brennan's going to be really miserable all weekend. Yeah. And then by Monday, he'll have calmed down a little bit. But if it's Ohio State, Penn State in the national championship game, we just need to stick a microphone and camera in front of him all night and just make this show a live watch.
Live watch.
Because he's going to lose his mind the entire night. And I don't know if I'm going to want to like string him up by his toenails by the end of it or what, but it will still be entertaining.
There would be a lot of swear words.
Regarding the NFL playoffs, real quick, have you guys, there's only been a 7th seed in the NFL playoffs for what, 3 or 4 years now?
Yep.
Yeah.
But Green Bay, I could see them making
Scares
a run.
me.
I could absolutely see that team making a run.
Scares me.
They're a 7th seed.
I would rather, there was a whole lot of debate because all the Eagles could face was either Washington or Green Bay going into this week, just depending on what those two teams did in their respective matchups. And now it's Green Bay, and I was like, I'd rather have Washington.
Did Jordan Love hurt his elbow yesterday?
But it seems like he's going to play. Like they're not too concerned about it. It was probably more precautionary than anything else. I think if you're going to rank the NFC teams most likely to get to the Super Bowl, it's Detroit and Philly are like 1A, 1B, and each fan base is probably going to argue who's 1A there. And then I think it's Green Bay after that. I don't think the Vikings are number 3 in that. I think the Green Bay could legitimately make a run.
I'm calling it right now. I'm predicting. One prediction I'm making here on the show regarding this weekend. The Vikings lose against the Rams.
Oh, I'd love it.
The Rams, I said they got off to a slow start this year, but you got veteran quarterback. You got Puka Nacua, who's like this guy on the flag football field. He's just running all over the place. I'm calling it. Rams.
Hopefully wears his contacts.
Rams beat the Vikings this week. I'm calling it.
That would be really entertaining to see. I'm not on the Vikings bandwagon. Also, like, I have a bit of beef with the Vikings fan base in general because they came to Philly in 2018 and someone put a Vikings jersey on the Rocky statue, which, like, great prank. That's funny as heck. Like, that's really funny.
It actually pisses me off.
I find it hilarious.
Yeah,
but
not cool.
but you know, like that, the Eagles win that game at home, and then the Super Bowl 3 weeks later is in Minnesota, and Eagles fans went around and like pulled some pranks similar to that too, and Minnesota fans got really, really upset by it. It's like you can dish it, but you can't take it. Like this is really.
I have
weak
a
on your
problem
end.
with that in sports for sure.
Look,
Like
the
if you're
Eagles-
gonna dish
the
it, you
Eagles
gotta take it.
disrespected the Eagles fans disrespected the terrible towel, and you saw what happened.
You
Jalen
know
Hurts hasn't played.
How big
So-
of a Steelers fan I am. I would have a problem with somebody sticking a Steelers jersey on Rocky Balboa. I'm just saying, he's Philadelphia. I love him from afar. He's not Pittsburgh.
It's to me, it's just like that's a very good troll. No one had ever done it before, and it's like, okay, you know what? Props to you. So when the Eagles go and win this game later today, we get to rub it in your face a little bit more, and then don't complain when we come into your city a little bit
Because you
later.
they like jinx themselves.
That was the year that the final four quarterbacks were Tom Brady, Case Keenum, Nick Foles, and Blake Bortles. You remember that?
Yeah, I remember
That was a terrible final four.
Actually, the Jaguars didn't come too far from beating the Patriots.
No, they were good.
They
that
had a
year.
really good chance. I remember our cable went out that day, and I was watching the game, and I had to listen to the rest of it on the radio, and I was listening as the Patriots were chipping away and come back. I was like, this is going to happen. Like, of course it is. So, but then the Eagles came to our rescue and beat them. So.
I actually had to Uber back in the middle of that Super Bowl from one friend's house in Philly to another friend's house because the first friend's house, they had it on like a satellite kind of situation and it wasn't streaming well. It kept cutting out and we're like, screw this, we're leaving. And we went to another friend's house where there was no party. It was just like the six of us crammed into an Uber and like the rest of the people that were at the Super Bowl party of the first house just all stayed, and they were like casual fans anyway. They didn't really care too much about the quality of the stream, and the rest of us was like, nope, get us the heck out of here. We're on. We would like tell the Uber drivers like, you gotta throw the game on. We're trying to get back to the house, and so like we miss Brady's dropped pass, the one that he didn't catch, and we get into the apartment and turn the TV on about a minute or two before Foles is catching the end zone. Like
Nice.
It's just one of those like really bizarre. Like we're sitting there. Just, oh, this.
And who threw that pass for the Eagles?
Brent Selleck.
There you go.
So it's Zach Ertz.
Tom Selleck.
Zach.
Magnum PI.
Oh, this is bad. This is bad.
I think it was Ertz. I
Wait,
better
I
not
thought-
know
you
more
don't
about
know.
Philly than you do.
Yeah, this is bad. This is bad. No, I was wrong on both accounts. It was Trey Burton. I forgot about that. Our third string tight end.
Trey LeVar Burton.
There you go.
Reading Rainbow.
Nah.
Jordy LaForge.
don't
I
know
can
what
go
you're
twice as
talking
high.
Just take a
Hey,
look.
gotta watch
It's
Star
in
Trek.
a book, a reading rainbow.
As you can tell here on the Ion Sports Podcast, it's going to be a great 2025. Join us. Thank you. We encourage you to subscribe to the Butler Eagle YouTube channel and Apple or Spotify podcasts or your favorite podcast platform. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Alter Eagle Podcast and at Butler Eagle News. Goodbye.